Alright guys, today we have another awesome IBO HG kit review. And this time it is the Barbatos 6th form. And this thing is mean. As you know, throughout the IBO series, they basically pick up new parts from either their defeated enemies or they get equipped from Tewaz or other places. And this is basically the final-ish form of Barbatos, and it has all the toys, more or less. You get this giant T-Rex hammer, as it's called, when in fact it's really called a wrench mace, but T-Rex hammer is it's pretty awesome. And you get a great shot of Barbatos here, all the explosions in the background. And we talked about it before. As progress throughout the series, they're not in space anymore. We got ground here. In fact, I believe this is the runway of the spaceport that they were, taken up in as a base. So let's look at the rest of the box so we can get ahead and get to this review. You get a great shot of Mikazuki here. Of course, he's yelling at somebody. I like that it's at least a different shot from the original box. That's cool. You get the IBO banner here, HG Iron Blooded Orphans. You get the Barbatos 6th form there in Japanese. You got a big ol' 6. It says 6. Bandai official product, because that is what we buy. Come down here to the bottom, and we've got 6th form, and here it is, pretty much the exact same shot right there. So you can see it's got the big T-Rex hammer and all of its armor goodness going on here. You go here, and I'm not entirely certain what it's pointing out, probably that it looks cool in armor, which it does. Go here, it's pointing out these nice little thrusters that it has on the side here. Well, it's basically just showing off that it can do a bunch of cool things. You come over here, though, and it shows you, it's a 5th form. So, realistically, they showed this backwards. This comes before this, and we will cover this, because this guy actually comes with armor and things to make up many different forms of Barbatos, and it's pretty cool. So you see here, he's got some different things mounted to his wrist, a little bit more flexible, different shoulders, obviously. Different weapons, different feet. And you see here customize, because you can always customize an IBO kit with other things. You see here he's got a different chest armor piece, and you've got the Schwalbe Gray's side thrusters right there. Now, what I don't have is the one kit that allows you to add these on in the correct manner. You can sort of do it with the equipment you get here, but it doesn't really matter that much. And then, of course, here it shows that it comes with some cool Tekadon stickers, and you can use them however you want. Come back around to this side, normal copy of the box art. You get the number 15 in the line, so we're going in order again. BandaiHobby.net. And you get here, and this is actually about the, I forget what the game is called, but it comes with this cool little chip, and it's a Barbatos in it. But of course, the app, the mobile app, doesn't necessarily work here because it's totally a Japanese game. I tried looking at it. And you can't read anything, it kind of makes it difficult to play a game. Of course, you get the Bandai emblem there. You can hear things rattling around in the box. You get the great front and rear shot here. And once again, with Barbatos, they're not the same shot. Because here it clearly shows that the hammer is stored on the back. Here he's holding the hammer. And you get another little read up here on what's going on. Mikazuki, you got the 6th form talking about it, how it was customized. Now, I will say, this time, I actually translated things. Not perfectly, but, Google Translate can only do so much. You get the story read up into what's going on so far. Go check out gtaketsu.com. Come here, and oh my god, I was right. That's exactly what that says. There are small pieces in this box. Keep it away from children under 3, and don't put it in your mouth. It will kill you. I joked, but that's almost exactly what it says. Not word for word, but it's okay. And then, of course, you get the different types of plastic here, as Second Soundwave was telling me about the polystyrene and polyethylene being in the different types of things. Now, if you come down here to the price, this guy is 1,400 yen, so it's actually a bit more expensive than even the previous kit. Not by much, but maybe $2 more, but this thing comes with so much, it really does warrant the price. And of course, you come down here, illustration by Koma again, and then background image by Saito Yoshinobu. And it's beautiful, and it's upside down, as it always is. Why is it always upside down, guys? Well, that's enough of the box. We're not here to see the box, we're here to see plastic. Alright guys, here we have the Barbatos out of his box after all these months, and he was itching to get out of there. And what we have him here is in roughly his 5th form. Like I said, I'm missing a couple pieces to make it exactly the 5th form, but it's very close. So if we come up here and we take a little bit of a closer look at this guy, it is awesome. And being that this was my second go around at a Barbatos, I cleaned it up a little bit, and you can see I did not weather this guy, but I did add quite a bit of extra painting, and I'll get to that here in a second after we do the little roundabout. You can see all this. And this form, you can tell it still looks very kind of thrown together, a little bit different. But let's go ahead and look at it up close. You can see here, if it'll focus on my hand. Come on. I hate when that happens. So you can see here up close, had to paint the face as I spoke about in the first review. So he's got the little mustache and soul patch. You can get some nice gold paint here on the V fin. Come here. I don't think I mentioned this before in the original review. These bits right here that are gold, you have to paint that on there. In the show, it's goldish, yellowish, but I went ahead and painted it gold on this go-around. And we come down here to the crotch part. See here, painted that gold as well. If I remember correctly, I actually sprayed these with Tamiya gold. This isn't Gundam marker. And then, I'm going to go ahead and pop that off for the time being so you can see more of the chest. Chest vents are gold. And I went ahead and I did the painting inside these little engravings, which is awesome. And you can see back in here on the little main body hydraulics, I had a little bit of silver and copper. Because this guy's supposed to be updated, cleaned up. Wanted to make him a little bit better. Come right here where I used a sticker before, I went ahead and actually painted that on. Come down a little bit farther on the legs, same thing, painted inside the grooves there. Went ahead and sprayed those that nice, really good metallic gold from Tamiya, or Tamiya, however you want to say it, guys. It's up to you. Look here on the side of the leg where this was a sticker before, went ahead and painted it. So my favorite is dark gray ever with a little bit of silver marker on the edges there. I did the hoses in kind of a, titanium gold there instead of in the silver. So I'm just saying maybe it's a little bit cleaner, a little bit more presentable now. And actually it was something I didn't do on my old one because I didn't notice it. The little toes of the feet, which I guess are supposed to be like claws, are actually supposed to be silver or gray, so to actually make them stand out like little claws. I didn't do that in the first go-around, but I never really knew it, so that's why I missed it. Okay, we want to talk about a couple subtle differences. You've got these very large boosters here for helping him get around in space quicker. This was post-battle with Kimaris, so he did get damaged pretty good. And they had to refit him a little bit, make him a little quicker for getting around in space. So now, I will admit, these are not the ones that are supposed to be here for the 5th form. The ones that are supposed to be here are from the Schwalbe Greys. But the long-range booster kit that we talked about roughly with the Ryuso Go review, there's supposed to be some extra little pegs that go here that hold on to those these Schwalbe Greys parts. These will work for it, but they're very loose, so that's why I don't do it. But they should be the Schwalbe Greys parts. Now, if you come here, they altered the forearm armor. I guess made this a little bit thicker, got rid of the shield look, and actually just made it a little heftier. This was all blue originally, so I had to paint this. And if you know anything about Gundam white markers, or white Gundam markers, they don't cover worth a dang. So I had to really do multiple coats there. And then we come to the back, just a few little details painted here and there, right here on this part of the backpack. Just a little bit of silver detail there to make it pop. This part where it normally would be a sticker, I went ahead and painted that a little bit, not a whole lot. Just so you can see the silver there, and it's a little bit of dark gray. And if we can look in there, you can see I did that titanium gold on the spine as well. I do love the spine details on these guys. It's just really neat. And of course right here, my favorite is dark gray on top of the gray-brown. Tiny little bit of silver detail there. And then painted on that blue, and once again had to paint on that white with a tiny bit of silver. It did come with stickers for this, but I did not want to use any stickers if I could help it. And in fact, If I remember correctly, I painted the eyes on this guy. It's real hard because I can't get the light in there to really see it, but I'm pretty sure I painted the eyes on this guy, which was the first time I ever did that, to be totally honest. Now, let me go ahead and outstand him here. Hopefully he will be good and actually stay. Oh good, he's staying. Now this part is a cool big chunk of chest armor, because they really wanted to be able to combat the Kimura's lance. So they added this really big, hefty chest armor. Now, originally, you could only get this armor with the long-range booster, but they went ahead and gave it to you in the 6th form box. And in reality, in the show, this was a throwaway piece. The lance pierced it, got into it, it pretty much shattered, but it just needed to slow it down enough and give enough distance on the chest that it wasn't going to kill Barbatos on the first hit. They just wanted it to be able to stop the lance so that he could get it away from the Kimars, and it worked. So this ends up being a throwaway piece. It looks kind of cool, but they didn't give any detail to it because they knew it was going to be a throwaway piece. They just sort of made it out of a spare piece of something. God knows where they actually pulled it from. I'm sure somewhere someone knows, and I'll be corrected in the comments somehow about that. But that's just talking about the 5th-ish form. So this is basically like form 5-ish. It's close. It's more than 4, a little bit less than 5. Now let's talk about a little bit of weapons. Now, if I remember correctly, this one didn't come with the sword or the mace that the normal Barbatos does come with. We'll talk about extra weapons later, but that's why he has no real weapons on him, even though he had the sword and the mace at this point in the anime, but he then lost them. But one thing he did do, he had these cool forearm missiles, and they do swivel out. I like how they did this. So if you remember, this kind of elbow-y forearm pod was here, but there was nothing in it before. But now they changed it up, and he's got some missiles added in there. I did use them a couple times, but Mikazuki is not really that good when it comes to projectile weaponry. He wants to get in close and be able to, really smash things the way he wants to. So that kind of hinders some of the things. So they end up changing things up when they finally do get to Earth. So let's go ahead and pull this chest armor off, and it does just loosely kind of peg in there over the rest of the armor. It's kind of cool that you can just do that. We'll set that off to the side here. Now what we're going to do is a little bit of modification to this lovely gentleman, and we're going to show off how it gets to more of its its 5th form ground mode, because once you get to Earth, things had to change. So we'll pull out some of those parts now, including new feetsies. Everybody loves the feetsies. Oh yeah, by the way, I didn't get a chance to show these off. These are the normal Barbatos side skirts, and you can see I did paint these guys a little bit thick on the metallic red marker. I'm going to go ahead and drop that. A little thick on the metallic red marker, and painted this part here too. You're not really going to use these with this guy, so that's why they're off to the side, but I wanted to show them off because they do still exist. So we're going to go ahead and pull out all these 5th form ground mode parts. I'll go ahead and do that transformation for you. Lose the front of the foot, grab the new front of the foot, which is a significant difference, and it just slides right into that polycap like so. Go ahead and do that to the other foot as well, and the heels pop right off. And this is something someone's gonna have to explain to me, because this was brought up in a lot of the reviews I watched for the show, and even I guess for this kit. These guys. And you'll see the problem here in a second. I won't call it a problem. It's just an odd design choice. But it's one that this series seems to make somewhat often when it comes to mobile suit modifications. Go ahead and we put that on there. And now it's Barbatos, and he's ready for a night on the town with these giant high heel shoes. So essentially they have almost the exact same feet, There's a difference in your feet, but they give it a much higher spot there. So you come down here, and now he's like walking on stilts, realistically. Like you can see just how tall this is. It's just redonkulous. If, you know, to use a terrible, terrible word, I'm sorry. But the high heels and moving around for ground mode don't make sense, at least in my mind, because this, much flatter feet. Flat is good, realistically, for traction. Now, if this gave him a little bit more height that he needed for some strange reason, okay, that's fine. I'll live with it. Let's go ahead and switch out these guys for these. And so these are some nice little machine gun pods that take the place of the previous rocket pods. And they do just kind of peg in here. This forearm is molded differently, so it has this peg here now and a couple things, and it just goes into that groove right there. As soon as I remember how. Oh, wait, you know what? I forgot. They're side specific, so I gotta make sure I get the right one. And that's obviously not the right one. This one was. There's a little bit of paint on there. It makes it a little difficult to go ahead and crank those guys in there. Pop that one off. Pop this one on. And there you have Barbatos in his 5th form ground mode. Okay, so it's not a giant difference, guys. I admit it. It just really isn't a giant difference. But it is a tall difference. See what it did there? I mean, it does look really beautiful. I mean, there's something, and the fact is clean, because the Barbatos got a good, clean makeover. You know, they cleaned it up, took out a lot of damage, replaced some armor, this, that, and the other. And, of course, they put these brand new feetsies. The feetsies. That's pretty cool. Now, we've seen the Barbatos before, so I'm not really going to go over the articulation or anything. So this is more or less going over what the different forms of this new Barbatos are. And one thing that comes up at this point in the show is the T-Rex hammer. Because he lost his original mace, he still had the sword, but he didn't want to use it, really. He saw this and went, ew, what does that do? So this guy, well, it's a wrench mace is what they call it. So realistically, it's got the big kind of hammer aspect here. Actually, this looks very similar to the back of that one axe. And then, of course, you smash things with this side. Got all your great little handles down here. But it articulates open, so it is still like a T-Rex mouth. And you can see the lovely blades in there that actually, in the show, would be a chainsaw for cutting things. You grab a hold of it, cut them down. But it is basically supposed to be like a wrench. You grab things, hold on to things, and you use it. Now, the cool bit is this is slightly mechanical in nature. It's not just a basic hinge. So you got a hinge down here, and then you got a cool little rod and piston effect there. I mean, it's not great, but it works. So it pivots in here, and it just moves around a little bit. Let's see if I can get the focus there. It's just a neat little detail. And of course, I painted some extra bits on here. I used a weird gray that I don't necessarily like. It's actually got a weird greenish tint there. I'm not going to bother repainting it, but, you know, I wanted it to have a little bit of detail. They have it very, very, like, a gray color in the promo images, but I wanted to actually make it kind of its own thing. I just didn't want it to be the same as always. So let's go ahead and put this guy in his hand, which is the same as always. Now, this one has a weird thing where you can actually hold it in a lot of different positions, but it actually makes it a little harder in some aspects. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just put this basic hand together here. And of course it just plugs right into there. And he can hold his giant T-Rex hammer, as it's known. Just like this. I'm going to bump the camera, guys. Oh, that popped off. And see, this is one thing, once again, I mentioned this when he got... I'm sorry, when Guzhin's hammer does this too. Okay, I'm trying to tilt it farther than it wants to go. I apologize. Fine, don't do it that way. There we go. Move the elbow, don't move the wrist. That's what the problem was. Alright, so now you've got Barbatos looking pretty awesome with that new wrench mace. But, go ahead and cram this in here. Now something happened after this particular battle. He took on some good bit of damage and also managed to sacrifice something else along the way just to help. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off just for convenience sake. I will put it back, don't worry, he will look cool. He sacrifices his shoulder armor, as silly as that sounds. And these guys just kind of pull off right there. Just a basic little hinge. I didn't mean to separate that, but it is. This is the same shoulder armor you get with any normal Barbatos. So go ahead and pull that off. And see, it comes off easier that way, not going to lie. But what happened was he was pinned, had two swords going through each shoulder to hold him in place, and in a fit of rage, he yells and ends up ripping himself out of there, ripping off his own shoulder armor, which was actually a pretty sweet move, but if you watch the show, you know why that's sad. And so, as they do in the great idea, they went ahead and stole some new shoulder armor from their defeated enemies. And you will see where these come from on the next review. But if you've seen the show, you know where they came from. But it is a very different look for Barbatos. Just, it's so much different. Instead of having those little bitty shoulder armors, you get this cool, semi-flexible, you know, it can come out this way, these come out this way. Of course, you get a great blue sticker there because I don't have a good blue to cover that. I will say, with holding the wrench mace like that, it wants to topple over a little bit. See, I told you, you need flat feet to stand properly with holding a big weapon. Okay, come on. Get. Barbatos, you're going to cooperate now, buddy. I'm going to put you on your stand. And then there's one more bit of armor because they upgraded a little bit more at this point. And he adds another cool bit of chest armor. Now, this is a very interesting effect because in some ways this makes it very more Gundam-like. You get a lot more of the white. You're getting away from the brown exposed frame that you see a lot in this show. And you get a whole lot more sea of white with the blue accents. So it makes it look a little bit more like a typical Gundam. And I really do like this. It does give it a bit more of a knight motif. And just because it's kind of armoring up, you know? It's just, I love it. And this is the complete Barbatos 6th form. I just said Barbatos. And I dig it. I really do. I do love these shoulders. I also love how they got them. Like I said, we will cover that next time. But I love this. I'm going to go ahead. No, you know what? I was going to put them on this stand. That seems silly. So what we're going to do, guys, is as we always do, because this is essentially the end of this review, we're going to go ahead and add the Barbatos 6th form to the IBO display. Just 1 second. Alright, guys, we have the IBO display out here, and of course it's looking great. Now what I'll do just real quick, since I have him out here, I will give a quick little comparison between old Barbatos and redone Barbatos, because why not? Quick little comparison of this Barbatos and that one, and you can see obviously the other one is very much dirty. And with all the new armor bits, he's of course very, very different. So let's see if we can get this display set up here. I'm going to set Barbatos right here for a second. It's going to be easier for me to manipulate this lovely thing. And I think it was basically like this. Oh, hold on, I got to set that back there. When I say I think, I actually have a picture reference, but in reality it's not the best clear picture in the world. I fully admit that, guys. And I'll set that there, and this guy will go right behind his previous self, as all the other ones do. Okay, now that hole is right there. There we go. And of course the hand wants to pop out. They really, really needed to give a little bit more of a cutout for these hands to articulate backwards, because it does a lot of weapon holding, and sometimes it just trips over itself realistically. And you can't even see it because it's up so high. So there we have Barbatos 6th form just chilling out right there above his older self. And by older, I mean original. And I might reorganize that slightly and make it fit just a little bit better. Because like I said, there's other kits that have to go in this collection, and we'll get to those very shortly. But that's basically it for now, guys. So you can see we've got all the good guys on this side, the bad guys on this side, Barbatos and Barbatos. You know, some people will probably put every version of Barbatos in there, but that would be really, really crowded, and I don't want to do that. There we go. Get a good shot there. And I love how I have Barbatos' hammer, or mace, in front of his face so you can't actually see him. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can move that. Put him over there near Kimaris. See if that's a little bit better. Oh, there we go. You can actually see Barbatos' face now. Alright guys, that's it for this review of the Barbatos 6th form. Remember to like and subscribe and check out all of the other IBO kit playlist because it's fun, because it gets us to this point, guys. But that's it for this review. I hope you liked it, and go out and get some of these IBO kits. And just remember, guys, keep on building.